We're just about to start in a few minutes. Welcoming Madam Smita Sharma.
Namaskar. Hello and welcome to this very special commemoration on 29th of July. Today happens to be the third anniversary of the new education policy 2020. And this very morning, the Prime Minister addressed the Bharatiya Shiksha Samagam at the newly constructed Bharat Mandapam. And it was fortunately the first program in that newly facelifted Pragati Maidan, as we all knew for all these decades so far. So education has been accorded as a national priority, and as and when we are moving forward in a knowledge economy, in an economy which is powered by technology and science, so education is going to play a much important role going forward. Fortunately and incidentally, today is also the Punya Tithi of the great savant of Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar, who was the philosopher, reformer, and the educator in those early times of Indian Renaissance, when we were under the subjugation of the British Empire, so as to call a Sanskrit scholar in his own right. And Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar ji, he was born as Ishwar Chandra Bandyopadhyay, but due to his erudition, due to his scholarship, he was named as Vidyasagar, the ocean of knowledge. So before we proceed today's roundtable with the eminent personalities who have joined in and who will be joining us in a short while as well, let's pay a small tribute by way of this video showcasing especially the educational accomplishments, educational contributions of Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar ji. It's a Rajya Sabha TV video, so I will just play it for some 3 to 5 minutes and then we will proceed out there. So as a tribute to the great legend.
ईश्वर चंद्र विद्यासागर संस्कृत और दर्शन शास्त्र के ज्ञाता होने के साथ एक बंगाल रेनेसां के अधिष्ठाता थे। एक शिक्षाविद के तौर पर उन्होंने शिक्षा के प्रसार के लिए अभूतपूर्व काम किया और बांग्ला अक्षरों को वो स्वरूप दिया जिसे लिखने बोलने के लिए आधार माना जाता है। ईश्वर चंद्र ने हर जाति के लिए संस्कृत विद्यालयों के दरवाजे खोल दिए और स्त्री शिक्षा को बढ़ावा देने के लिए कई कदम उठाए। आइए नजर डालते हैं ईश्वर चंद्र विद्यासागर के एक शिक्षाविद के तौर पर योगदान पर।
दर्शन शास्त्री, संस्कृत के विद्वान, समाज सुधारक और एक महान शिक्षाविद ईश्वर चंद्र विद्यासागर 19वीं सदी के वो महान विभूति जिनके योगदान को आज भी देश याद करता है। बंगाल रेनेसां का वो दौर जब सामाजिक धार्मिक सुधार के लिए कुछ गिने चुने प्रबुद्ध लोगों ने आवाज उठाई, उनमें ईश्वर चंद्र विद्यासागर का नाम सबसे पहले आता है। भारतीय समाज अंग्रेजों की हुकूमत से जूझते हुए कई सामाजिक कुरीतियों में जकड़ा हुआ था। बाल विवाह, अशिक्षा और सती प्रथा समाज का हिस्सा थी, जिसे समाप्त करने के लिए राजा राम मोहन रॉय और महर्षि दयानंद सरस्वती जैसे समाज सुधारक काफी कोशिश कर रहे थे। ईश्वर चंद्र विद्यासागर ने इन सभी लोगों का काफी समर्थन किया। ज्ञान के सागर विद्यासागर दया के सागर भी थे। एक बार उनके घर के बाहर उन्होंने देखा कि एक महिला असहाय पड़ी है। उसके शरीर पर से दुर्गंध आ रही थी। लोग उसे देखकर मुंह फेर ले रहे थे, पर वो उसे उठाकर अपने घर ले गए। उसकी सेवा की, उसके खाने पीने से लेकर रहने तक की व्यवस्था की। महर्षि दयानंद सरस्वती जब बंगाल में रहा करते थे, तब ईश्वर चंद्र विद्यासागर उनके विचारों को काफी सुना करते थे। वो उनसे इतने प्रभावित हुए कि समाज में महिलाओं की दुर्दशा को बदलने के लिए व्याकुल हो उठे। उन दिनों बंगाल में विधवा नारियों की हालत बहुत ही दयनीय थी। बाल विवाह और बीमारी के कारण महिलाओं का जीवन बहुत कष्ट में बीतता था। ऐसे में उन्होंने नारी शिक्षा और नारी उत्थान के लिए बड़े पैमाने पर काम करना शुरू किया। ईश्वर चंद्र विद्यासागर स्त्री शिक्षा के प्रबल समर्थक थे। महिलाओं को पुरुष की तरह ही शिक्षा मिले, ये सोच ईश्वर चंद्र विद्यासागर को अपने माता पिता से संस्कारों में मिली थी। संस्कृत महाविद्यालय में शिक्षक के तौर पर उन्होंने संस्कृत की शिक्षा के लिए सभी जातियों और महिलाओं के लिए दरवाजे खोल दिए। 1849 में बैथ्यून के सहयोग से कन्या विद्यालय की स्थापना की, जो आगे चलकर बैथ्यून कॉलेज के नाम से मशहूर हुआ। कलकत्ता विश्वविद्यालय की पहली स्नातक चंद्रमुखी बासु थी, जो बैथ्यून कॉलेज की छात्रा थी। समाज सुधार अभियान के तहत ईश्वर चंद्र विद्यासागर ने स्थानीय भाषा और लड़कियों की शिक्षा के लिए 40 स्कूलों की एक श्रृंखला शुरू की। लड़कियों को उच्च शिक्षा मिले, इसके लिए कलकत्ता में मेट्रोपॉलिटन कॉलेज की स्थापना की। यही नहीं, झारखंड में संथाल आदिवासियों के उत्थान के लिए कई सालों तक परिश्रम किया। संथाल बालिकाओं की शिक्षा के लिए झारखंड में पहले विद्यालय की स्थापना की।
जब वो स्कूल इंस्पेक्टर थे तो उन्होंने लड़कियों के लिए स्कूल खोले और उनकी पूरी चिंता के केंद्र में शिक्षा और खासकर स्त्रियों की दशा, वो उनके केंद्र में है, उनके पूरे चिंतन के केंद्र। जो विद्यालय उन्होंने स्थापित किए, उस सभी विद्यालयों का खर्च वो स्वयं निर्वहन करते थे। 1849 में आपको जानकारी होगी, पहला स्त्रियों के लिए जो पहला स्कूल कलकत्ता में खुला, ये ईश्वरचंद्र विद्यासागर के प्रयास से खुला।
शिक्षाविद के तौर पर उन्होंने तब की शिक्षा व्यवस्था में कई अहम बदलाव किए। संस्कृत कॉलेज में प्रोफेसर के तौर पर काम करते हुए 1851 से 1858 में संस्कृत महाविद्यालय की शिक्षा व्यवस्था और प्रशासनिक व्यवस्था में आमूलचूल परिवर्तन किया। उनके प्रयासों से बंगाली शिक्षा में एक क्रांति आ गई। बंगाली जिस तरह बोली जाती थी, उसमें परिवर्तन कर सरल और शुद्ध बनाने का श्रेय ईश्वर चंद्र विद्यासागर को ही जाता है। उन्होंने बंगाली वर्णों को पुनर्गठित किया। अक्षर ज्ञान को सरल करने के लिए उन्होंने 12 स्वर और 40 व्यंजनों का गठन किया। उनकी लिखी किताब वर्णो परिचय आज भी बांग्ला अक्षरों के ज्ञान के लिए पढ़ाई जाती है।
उन्हीं के प्रयास से तमाम स्कूल खोले गए, स्त्रियों के शिक्षा के लिए स्कूल खोले गए। वे खुद चूंकि संस्कृत कॉलेज के पढ़े हुए थे, उन्होंने संस्कृत कॉलेज में नामांकन के लिए समाज का अंत्यज तबका, वो तबका जो समाज में हाशिए पर है, उसको संस्कृत में कैसे नामांकन हो सकता है, इसलिए स्कूल इंस्पेक्टर रहते हुए उन्होंने नामांकन की शर्तों में ढिलाई बरती। इसका उन्हें खामियाजा भी चुकाना पड़ा। बांग्ला वर्ण परिचय, बांग्ला भाषा को उन्होंने जिस ढंग से एक स्त्रीकृत मानकीकृत करने का प्रयास किया, यह भी अपने आप में एक बड़ा कदम है।
साहित्य के क्षेत्र में भी ईश्वर चंद्र विद्यासागर ने अभूतपूर्व योगदान दिया। उन्होंने कई संस्कृत पुस्तकों का अनुवाद किया और सामाजिक परिस्थिति पर पुस्तकें लिखी। कई पुस्तकों का लेखन और अनुवाद किया। 1948 में बांग्ला और इतिहास, 1849 में जीवन चरित, 1854 में कालिदास की शकुंतला, 1860 में महाभारत, सीता वनवास, 1871 में होइलो, आभार ओती और होइलो में ब्रजविलास, 1886 में रत्नो परीक्षा लिखी। इसके अलावा बच्चों के लिए बेताल पंचवसंती 25 कहानियों का संग्रह भी लिखा। सामाजिक कुरीतियों पर उनकी किताबों में 1855 में आई विधो विवाह, 1871 में बहु विवाह पर लिखी किताब बहु विवाह और बाल विवाह की कमियों पर बाल विवाह लिखा। अनेक संस्कृत ग्रंथों का अनुवाद कर बांग्ला भाषा और साहित्य को समृद्ध करने में बड़ा योगदान दिया।
कि जिन पुस्तकों को उन्होंने अनुवादित किया, उन पुस्तकों की बिक्री से जो फंड आता था उसे वो बच्चों के शिक्षा पर खर्च करते थे। यह अपने आप में शिक्षा की समाज केंद्रीयता और व्यक्तित्व की समाज केंद्रीयता का उदाहरण है।
भारतीय समाज अगर सामाजिक कुरीतियों के जकड़न से बाहर निकल पाया तो उसके पीछे ईश्वर चंद्र विद्यासागर जैसे शिक्षाविद और समाज सुधारक का अभूतपूर्व योगदान रहा है, जिसके लिए देश सदा कृतज्ञ रहेगा। ब्यूरो रिपोर्ट, राज्यसभा टीवी।
So this was Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar ji for all of us, and as we can see that as what we call in the Rethink India parlance, that the fifth estate, the academia, it has it is the fulcrum, it is the kurma of the entire national edifice of all philosophical renditions and all reforms, whatever we have to undertake out there. So as a tribute to this great legend, we at Rethink India felt like, why not juxtapose the futuristic new education policy 2020 with the legend, with the contribution, lifetime contributions of Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar ji. And today we felt like launching the Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar New Education Policy Fulfillment Index 2023. I would just launch with all of you as to what it intends to accomplish. So just a moment. So yeah, so just quickly moving to the next slide. So if we go through the entire new education policy, and today is the experience sharing roundtable, we would be requesting you all to share your practitioners' experiences of implementing the new education policy 2020. In fact, I would like to say that when the draft of this new education policy came in the year 2019, Rethink India convened the public reading of the voluminous 500 plus pager new education policy, which was after a year abridged into a 66 pager one, which can be more readable and action oriented one. And if you see the whole preamble, the core crux of this new education policy, it lies in these 19 principles which are on the initial pages of the whole policy document. And this is the soul of it all. And based on these 19 principles, we would be elaborating them upon and asking the participating schools from all across the country to do a self-assessment of their fulfillment of the new education policy. Any policy which comes, the policies for a larger education system, it removes a lot of the regulatory hurdles per se. But at the end of the day, the implementation of the policy actually, the core of it, it really lies to the individual institutions, and especially on you eminent educators who would be really implementing it to the last student out there. So I would just try to put across some of the core things, like one of the core principles which was enunciated by CBSE very recently, the emphasis on multilingualism, promoting point number 9, promoting multilingualism and the power of language in teaching and learning. And research has shown that multilingualism, it promotes the neuro-linguistic programming and a lot of innovative thinking, the design thinking which we have. So earlier in the pre-independence era, we used to have polyglots over there, but somehow the emphasis on language as a critical component of our teaching learning processes got reduced. So this has been brought very, very strongly by the new education policy. The very other important aspect, point number 13, respect for diversity and respect for the local context. आज हम लोग विश्व का भूगोल, विश्व का इतिहास तो पढ़ते हैं प्राइमरी एजुकेशन में, but if I am a student of Mednipur district, perhaps in West Bengal, actually I went to IIT Kharagpur and stayed for 5 long years. So am I really taught as a primary student or as a middle level student, the 5+3+3+4 model, which the new education policy talks about, the local history, the local geography, the local governance institutions. So somewhere or the other, the new education policy talks about it and gives a lever to the educators as to how we can initiate the nearness in the new education rather than far, because that was a colonial system कि पहले हमें ब्रिटेन पढ़ाया जाता था, फिर हम भारतवर्ष as a whole पढ़ते थे, but near to far, the paradigm of it all. So these are some of the core areas, like no hard separations between arts and sciences. So based on these 19 parameters, we would be unfurling a kind of an elaborate self-assessment framework, and that would be called as the Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar New Education Policy Fulfillment Index. And as a tribute to this great legend, the outcome of this exercise would be released on 26th of September this very year, which happens to be his birth anniversary. So this is all we have got for as a prelude to this roundtable. Now, without any further ado, let's come to the roundtable part of it all. And since we have been joined in by Sir Shubhankar Chatterjee, sir, from Malda, West Bengal, the land of Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar. They are close to the legend of Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar ji and the work what he did in the context of Paschim Bengal, the intellectual capital of India, as it was known in those times. So I would request Shubhankar Chatterjee sir to initiate this roundtable. And today's theme, what we have kept for today's roundtable, let me just come to that. Somewhere or the other, it has become a kind of a culture that we have to either become blind cheerleaders or blatant critiques. But we at Rethink India believe like reality lies somewhere in between. So the theme is, I would request all you eminent people as to what are your experiences from the envisioning of the new education policy, which is enshrined in these 19 odd principles, to its education, to its execution, from the government to the state governments, and more importantly at the local institutional level, and what is actually working and what is not. So we can be both, we can cheerlead as well. We can also bring about the lacuna, the kind of overburdening or the gaps or the challenges which you are all facing over there. So a free-flowing kind of engagement this evening, celebrating, commemorating the Punyatithi of Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar ji, one of the legends of our republic, our civilizational ethos. So with this, I request Shubhankar Chatterjee sir to initiate this conversation, and then we will be joined in by Rajesh Chandel sir and others going forward. So from all across the country, we've been joined in by eminent educators. So over to Shubhankar Chatterjee sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for giving me the chance to speak in this beautiful conversations, and many eminent people are there as a part of Usha Martin School. And since the beginning of that NEP, we are practicing all these scopes, whichever it is feasible from our sides. And we are doing so far like this way. Basically, NEP has a wide range of possibility and the scope of leverage of all the common students. And it is emphasizing on that local language, local culture, and precisely that different aspects of these people, Indian people and Indian culture, it is coming over there. Apart from that basic core of these things, that switching over that subject amalgamation of streams and all these things, I'm just coming to the ground level, how we are practicing all these things. We are just practicing in different ways, like personality of the month. Every month we are selecting some personality context related to our local area or in a particular province in the eastern province, and accordingly we are celebrating. And we are imparting that contribution to the society in the field of education as an educator, or wide other field of that societal development. We have already practicing in that sense, in that way. And consequently, the next generation is coming to that part. Knowingly or unknowingly, we are just infusing this particular system, that is NEP, and into their system. And as far as Ishachandra Vidyasagar is concerned, we definitely feel proud whatever the contribution he has done at a certain time when that precisely that India was having that renaissance period of time, and lots of turmoils and ups and downs were there. There have been some poverty, famine, and that death, and so many problems were there. The main problem was the poverty and education. And basically, whatever we have found from last 200 years, the educational initiative has been done from the private section only. We are not dependent from the inception of our, prior to our independence or after that. Government has done definitely, but mostly that initiative has come from the private concerns also, starting from Dirozio, Raja Rammohn Roy, or Ishachandra Vidyasagar, and many other stalwart, Keshav Chandra Nag. These are stalwart educators in these particular eastern provinces. Along with them, there was a very big boom, and Ishachandra Vidyasagar was one of the pioneer in that field. Whatever the thing he has done earlier, definitely that alphabet, Bengali alphabets were there, but he has reduced some of the particular alphabets which is not so much required for everyday's life, like Likar, Rikar. These are Dirghoi, something, these particular alphabets were not so much important. This is number one. Number two is, it's very interesting that NEP is setting these days that make it lucid and emphasize that local language. He has translated that Sanskrit language in a lucid manner, in precise in Bengali, so that common people can understand, they can get that knowledge, and they can finish that thing, all these things were there. So this is another thing was there. And the most important thing that women's education, he has substantially proceeded in that field, women's educations, and he was one of the pioneers in that marriage of the widowed people, because we have found that what had happened in that in the sati system, that they were burnt alive, and since their childhood, if they are becoming widowed, they had been keeping an encaged life, like anything. So many things are there. So he had done that thing. Even the first widow marriage was done by his own son. His own son was the first man who has married one widow woman, but unfortunately he committed suicide for other reason. That is different thing. That is not our course. The another point is that Sanskrit college, Sanskrit colleges was there, but the development and upheaval of that academics in that Sanskrit college was substantial. There is no scope of doing all these things. So what we have done it these days, the NEP has done, they are telling that we need to get, the schools need to get associated with the college, and they can adopt some particular college, and college professor can come and they can enrich the students by different way, by educational seminar. The same thing what he had thought of 200 years back, these little more than 200 years back. These days, NEP is also inculcating the same thing. There lies the perpetuality of the thought. As a pedagogical leader, as a social leader, what he has thought this that time, right now, we all the people are feeling the same things over there. That is the perpetuality of the thing. So that is the thing. Many other scopes are there. So that's all from my side for today. And thanks for giving me the time. Thank you, sir.
Very nicely, you have elucidated, Shubhankar Chatterjee, sir, about how you are following the NEP, practices, policy and practice at your institution in West Bengal, at Malda, and how you are from the very land of West Bengal where Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar hailed from.
Right, ma'am.
And indeed, I mean, what a personality, and how he has given his contribution to girl child education, to women folk, in terms of, as in various widow remarriage and education and the Bengali language per se. So it's beautifully elucidated by you. Thank you so much for your remarks and insights, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
From Malda, let's move on to Firozpur, one of the frontier towns in the state of Punjab. And we have been joined in by a very eminent educationist from there, from Dasson Brown School, Dr. Rajesh Kumar Chandel, to address this roundtable and his experiences. This is an experience sharing roundtable. And the first opening remarks, Dr. Chandel, over to you, sir.
so much for inviting me in this roundtable discussion, and thanks, Shubhankar, for sharing and touching so beautiful personal experiences of Vidyasagar ji about his life. And I believe that you belong to that land, and you might be just the one who is knowing more about him. So thanks for that. When we talk as a principal, when we are the educationists, we are the ones, those who are encountering the NEP 2020 very closely. Right from the beginning, I remember the days in the initial draft came in 2019, and then when the document came in 2020, and we all were put in. Rajesh Sharma sir is also there in the panel. So we were the people, those who were at the frontiers and were supposed to train the principals, the teachers across the country. And for a long time, I've been in Jabalpur, Madhya Pradesh. So we were working together for training the principals on NEP. But now when I'm at Firozpur, in the border town, I would say this is the land of the warriors, martyrs. And I just see the impact of the NEP 2020 on the teachers, on the principals. We are still struggling. We are in the third year. Today, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is celebrating this third anniversary of National Education Policy 2020. Yes, something is working, something is not working. Being a core practitioner, I would simply say that this policy is introduced. It's having wonderful vision. The vision is clearly struggling and moving from the Gurukul system to the design thinking and artificial intelligence. Very strong belief of the philosophers, those who have designed, the educationists, those who have designed. Some of the aspects of the policy are being implemented. We cannot deny totally that it's not working properly. It's working as the GDP's part is given to the education. That is, I believe, if I'm not wrong, approximately 2.9%. And this is very, very small. It is working in that particular speed only, as per my opinion, I would say. Another concern is that if we just talk about the things that which are rolling in systematic manner, we can say, we are emphasizing on the holistic development. NEP 2020 is focusing on the holistic development. We have been talking about this one. We are promoting critical thinking to some extent. It is increasing now. Creativity is coming. Problem solving skills are coming in the teachers, in the students. We are trying to inculcate that. And this approach is aiming to reduce the rote learning, wherein it is having its other side also, that if we are just talking about the rote learning, replacing it by the critical thinking and creativity only, then just some of the aspects of the rote learning which are impacting our minds today also. If I go to my school back about 30 years back, then I think rote learning has its own pace of teaching. Rote learning has its own importance, wherein critical thinking, creativity is also important. But yes, it has started rolling properly. We are talking about the early child education, and this early child education, we are talking about 5+3+3+4. I believe this 5 is working. 5 is working. Government has taken an initiative that yes, the early childhood education is also important. This NEP 2020 is the document which is legally, or we can say documented way, it is taking that yes, this age group in which these children are 3 to 6 years, 85% mental development happens. So if this thought has come to the government's minds, and Bal Batikas and these kindergarten schools are coming in the official, if you are opening the OSIS system of the CBSE also, then you have to fill the Bal Batika, how many students are there in the nursery, KG, upper KG, etc. This is coming there now. This is something very good, and it has started rolling. Vocational education and skill development. Yes, this is the area where NEP is focusing. And if I talk as a CBSE school, if I'm just looking at the government schools also, then NEP, if it is emphasizing on this integration of the vocational education from the early stage only, then they are putting a lot of efforts to have some bagless days or have some programs in the 6 to 8. And these programs are really rolling fine. And this is working. And number of programs CBSE has also started. Multidisciplinary education is the concern, that policy is increasing that multidisciplinary education has to happen. Flexibility has to be there in choosing the subjects. Initially, there was some hesitation amongst the students, but yes, when we are looking about the universities and colleges curriculum, they are also open. IITs are open to teach history now. IIT is open to teach the management subjects now. So the students have also started taking interest into this one. So this is also just rolling in a proper manner. And wonderful thing is the technology integration, which NEP is focusing more, that technology integration is to be done. So technology is integrating, and I believe when the NEP came in 2020, the COVID-19 was COVID was also one of the, we can say, blessings in disguise, that it has rolled the this amendment of the technology in the education system to the larger. And the promotion of the Indian languages, it is also moving. Schools have started thinking on this one, that we have to go in such a manner that we have to go to the local languages also. But my concern that the things which are not rolling, I believe that the challenges of 2020 NEP 2020, this ambitious policy is talking something about its implementation in the pace that it was supposed to be there. The most important area which is lacking is the teacher training and capacity building. Why I'm talking is that almost, if we all principals might be getting agreed with me, that if we have started conducting the competency based examination from the last year only. Now we are talking about the three areas in the competency based. One is the competency based teaching, then comes the competency based learning, then comes the competency based assessment. We started it in the other way. We started doing the competency based assessment first, and then teaching and learning is lacking, for which our teachers are not trained. I just strongly put this point that this is not working fine. Inclusion and accessibility is also one of the problem, the concerns that about reaching to the marginalized communities and ensuring the quality education for all. It is a challenge in the country where we have larger inclusion. Evaluation and assessment reforms are the challenges here. NEP is proposing the changes in the assessment and evaluation methods. But there are concerns about how these reforms will be implemented and how they will be aligned with the university entrance and the competitive examination. Something which is good today, today only the document has come from the National Testing Agency, which is working so fine that online applications are being invited for NCET, National Common Entrance Test. This is something very good that it has started rolling from this year. This program is for the BA, B.Ed, BCom, B.Ed, BSc, B.Ed, and it is 4 years integrated program. Entrance test is being conducted. The document has come today evening only from the National Testing Agency. And something which is, again, hope I'm not taking much time. I'm having 2-3 more points which I can take. Am I right? And am I allowed?
Please carry on, sir. Carry on, sir.
Now, when we are talking about the inclusion, the another part which is there, that is the digital divide. Just the push of the technology integration that may exacerbate in such a manner that the digital divide is happening there. As many students from the economically disadvantaged backgrounds, they may not have the access to the devices or the internets today also. Where we are talking that we are providing online education, digitalization is happening. We are providing about the, we are talking about the internet connectivity to each village, but we have to think when I'm in Firozpur, I'm just from the border town. My school is just 5 kilometers away from the Hossainiwala border. Now, if I'm talking about these villages, the areas wherein we are just struggling to just provide the electricity, and then the internet is another challenge for them. So this is that digital, divide is a problem, and it will be a challenge for all of us. Then is the funding and resources. If we have to implement the NEP 2020, it requires substantial funding and the resources. And again, coming to the GDP, that is 2.9% of the entire GDP, which is being shared in the previous budget. It was like this. And I think on an average since 2019, it is at the same pace. Government has to think about this. Ensuring the adequate financial support for the education, that can be a challenging task in the current economic scenario. Why I am talking so? CBSE is having 28,000 schools across the country. Larger number of schools which are teaching and providing education are the state government schools, for which the governments are responsible. What about the infrastructure in the government schools? The Prime Minister Eminence schools, the CM Rise schools or CM Eminence schools in the different states which are coming, how much are these? Where we are talking about the inclusion, we are talking about the free education, Ministry of Social Justice, and they have started that they are providing the residential education to the girls and boys of the deprived, so economically deprived region by conducting entrance examination. But how much? How many are they? So where we are rolling, I believe the 2030, which is taken as the target by the government of India, that yes, we will be somewhere in place for this one. 2025, we are having the first task that the Skill India, everybody will be getting the education on the vocational courses. The target, which is of the 2025, again, 2030, sorry, which is taken, that everybody is going to the school, and we are ensuring that our this FLN is rolling properly. That is the foundational this language and mathematics is moving properly. I believe the things with a positive attitude will roll properly. Government has to think on this one, take a call on this. We as the warriors in the education, we are ready for this one, are providing teachings, and I along with the Dr. Rajesh Sharma, we are committed trainers for the teachers, principal, and anywhere, everywhere, wherever we are. So with this note, I would like to say thank you to you all to just give me this much time to talk, and hope there is some takeaway from the points. And I'm sorry that I have spoken much about the government.
So the future of this fabulous policy is actually on the shoulder of such passionate practitioners like Dr. Chandel, who are braving it all from the frontier cities of Firozpur. And some of his questions we've been joined in by a very, very eminent personality, Madam Pasala Girvani, ma'am. She's the Pro-Chancellor at the Chinmaya University, Hyderabad. And from the school to the university continuum, what Dr. Chandel talked about, maybe ma'am Girvani would like to throw more light on it, and especially about the NEP universe in the higher education space, her experiences in the university context, and what's working and what's not. Over to Madam Pasala Girvani. Ma'am, you have to unmute yourself, ma'am.
I was not expecting that you would ask me a question to speak, but my concern is more on the teacher education. Without preparing the teachers for NEP, focusing more on student and student evaluation curriculum will not yield good result, expected result. Because the teacher need to be oriented fully. Teacher need to be made to understand the NEP policy very clearly. They are the people who have to change their attitudes, change their vision, and also inspire the students. There is a lot of confusion in the languages even now, whether to go through English medium or whether to go through. And certainly I agree, vocational education should become an essential part and a compulsory part. But what vocations? Our teachers are not fully aware of the vocational education skills. I don't know if there is any research done on what kind of vocations and how to initiate vocational education. What are the vocational skills which have yielded very good results in the past? What is the infrastructure required for it? Vocational education should certainly play an important role, because everybody need not necessarily go for higher education. If they have some skill, then they know to focus and to continue to pursue in that direction their continued learning. Because there's no counseling at the school level to the student to direct them to take to visualize their future. Identification of their talent and skill is not happening. We have to probably focus on identifying and nurturing the skills the students already have. The student has a different kind of talent, and that is being ignored and not given as much importance. But we are thrusting on the students what we want them to learn. But I think that's also an important issue which needs consideration. So I think we should look at it from the teacher's point of view. Have we prepared them? And have we prepared the parents? Parents also need to be told. It's a parent demanded education. Parent want English. Parent want marks in English. Parent want student to speak only in English. So it is parents need to be educated, teachers need to be educated. When too much of focus on the student itself will not yield the expected result. I find the defects is that's why you're losing talent of the student. There are many students who have good talent, but no school is considering the talent, because some of the schools do not have the ability to nurture the talent. Some of the schools just go through the curriculum and no uniform curriculum for anybody from different socio-economic background, different scope, and they need to be inspired. Sports is another thing which is a big thing in the world over, but sports in schools has not been given the required attention at the right age. These are generally my views, and our evaluation need to change. It is more testing the memory of the child, not testing the understanding of the child, if I have to put it broadly. We are only testing 2-3 hours, they can by heart and reproduce, they can pass. But it's not the memory. In these days with digitalization, you don't have to memorize, but you need to develop their ability to think and understand. That kind of ability should be built up in a teacher to student. Then we'll have a meaningful education. Good high school education is good enough to make a living, but that's where we are failing.
Thanks a lot, ma'am. Ma'am has brought about some very pertinent points, and the core of it all remains that it is all about a parent-driven educational system. So if the new education, and there is too much of a stress on the student, the teacher education has to come in, the teacher orientation, the teacher attitude, shaping up is a critical component for the success of NEP, for the fulfillment of NEP. We have been joined in by Madam Mona Khanna from the lovely Doon Valley, Dehradun, from Unison Word School. I would like to invite her to respond to some of these concerns as to how her school and her experience in the implementation of the NEP 2020 goes. Madam Mona Khanna, please.
Thank you, everyone. It has been an enlightening webinar, though I had some engagement and I joined a little late. But thank you for the wonderful input. Ours is a little different structure. We are a totally boarding school. So a lot of components for us, it becomes a little more easier to implement the components. And when we are talking about the art integration, sports integration, and bringing in, vocational activities. And so these are already embedded in our curriculum. So for us, because it is a day-long curriculum, we start at 6 in the morning, and curriculum I will not define as the board. I will define as what we do through the day. It's not just your CBSE or ICSE or Cambridge. We are a school which we follow the ICSE and the Cambridge board. But when we start from morning till evening, we have a lot of these activities which are totally embedded in the kind of flexibility which we give in the subject choices also. That is also something which NEP is asking for. But for me, the major concern is the transition from school to university. Because unless all of us are aligned, it is not going to be easy. And as it was just mentioned that there has been, today evening only, MT has released a document about the MT. It's the multiple type questions, I think, for the B.Ed assessment and all. So I think that will be helpful, because ultimately both the high school and the university need to be aligned. That is a gap for us. So this is one area which we find should be taken care of. Also, when it comes to assessment, we do look into a lot of formative assessment at our particular school. But yes, majority of the schools will find it difficult. When we talk about the majority of the larger part of India, they are not taking that into consideration. It is still about rote learning. It is about the teacher dictating the questions and the children verbatim, they have to give the question replies in their answer sheets also. So that is definitely a concern for the larger part of the country. We are, I think we are blessed and privileged. Very few schools of the country, even though there are many, but when we talk about the percentage, there are very few schools of the country who are blessed and privileged to have all the facilities like a device for the students, having so many opportunities for the students. But yes, the implementation of NEP is not going to be easy. Another thing which I have to say is about the multilingualism. It's easy when we are talking, but ours is a very diverse country. And even if I talk about a small, suppose we are in northeast part of the country, and in that particular class also, there will be children who are Assamese also, those who are Marwadis also, those who are from Manipur also. So how do we cater to that component of teaching in their language? That is something which I am not able to understand yet. For us, again, for us, it is easy. We are an English medium school. Most of the children are, well aware of English and Hindi, and we can deal with it. But we have international community also. And let me tell you, there also we find it difficult because some of the children find English also difficult to come to their level. If we are catering to only them in the class, it is after all a 40-minute class. So how does the government expect, and how is the teacher supposed to know so many languages? If in a class you have children coming from diverse community, okay, we are ready to teach. But how am I supposed to know so many languages? That also is and I was in a webinar, I was in a workshop, I would say a seminar of a very high level at one point of time, and there were senior authorities. And when I asked this question, so they were like, and it was the beginning of NEP, that they said, ma'am, initially only you are trying to find faults. How will we move forward? But this is a concern. I would like someone to answer this concern. Thank you.
Lovely, lovely. I think this is the kind of perspectives, like what is working and what's not. Coming over to Dr. Rajesh Sharma and concluding this short and sweet roundtable, maybe I would request Madam Girvani later on that how would this school to university transition, because that is where this career-oriented education system, as we all know about it, is going to happen. That's probably ma'am will close it across. So Dr. Sharma, my query which is coming across is how imposing is this NEP, and how much of the school autonomy, how much of the pace and pitch, because every institution has its own evolutionary curve. There cannot be one size fit all on all the frontiers. Maybe some of the areas can be mandatory for all. Like Madam Mona Khanna talked about that multilingualism. So is there a kind of, I would say, flexibility? The flexibility is out there at the student level that you can choose, pick and choose. But how much of the flexibility is out there at the institutional level to really chalk out their own institutional education policy in the operational frontier? Dr. Sharma.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Raghav, Dr. B. And it's an absolute fantastic opportunity to talk about NEP. And as Dr. Chandil was sharing, we have been a trainer on NEP as well. You have been getting training. But when we talk about the first thing, I absolutely find this is a fantastic policy. Something which really we needed for a long time. When I take the training of the teachers and the principals, first thing, the components which are included are very much there. And here I would, as a background of psychology, I would like to mention that this is where our students who were having a kind of complex when they were going to foreign countries for the education, Harvard University did a research on the students of whole world, and they found the Indian students are brilliant, but they lack self-confidence. Here, when we are now teaching them about India, through this policy which has been brought, that Indianness must be taught to the student, this is something which I really like very much about this. And on this, when I take the training, the kind of comparison, I just would like to mention, as we have been seeing Prime Minister celebrating the 3rd anniversary of it, when he went first time in 2014 to USA, he told, I want to see something the oldest you have got. And he was taken to Pennsylvania. That's what he shared. And there they showed something which is 1,700 years old, something written by Washington. George Washington has written something. Then he's telling that, think of it, America has got something older which is 1,700 years old. We have got, so much heritage, so much of things which can be there, we can be proud of. And you will be happy to know MP, because I am now in Madhya Pradesh. This is absolutely phenomenal. We have got something which is 8.5 crore year old, the eggs of dinosaur, which is not known. We do not know it. The teachers do not know it. So NEP, yes, as Dr. Chandel and even Monam was talking, implementation part, because we are a very, very diverse country. We have got 1,100 languages. Okay. So, but nevertheless, the point is, my thinking is, as per my opinion, let us do what we can do wherever we are with the resources we have got. To mention you, there is a digital divide. The school which is located in the center means I am there in Bhopal, but I have got a mixed population of parents. Many of them are farmers. So technology part, and especially you will be surprised, after pandemic, many of them came and requested, sir, you do anything, but now do not ask the children to use mobile. Because when they use mobile, they are all diverted. So we have to cater for things, yes, technology wise. And here I would like to mention one more thing. I have been seeing different kind of schools. No two schools are same. I can tell you with a lot of credibility there. So the point which can be done, again I would like to repeat, let us try, do our best with whatsoever resources we have got. The good things in it, I would like to mention the 10 days of bagless school on 10 days that's being proposed into it. It is absolutely very good proposal. The children will have experiential learning. Every school is supposed to teach them what is local available, and let us bring it to the global level. How do we do it? And the syllabus has been already rationalized by the NCERT for the same reason. The syllabus is reduced. We have to go on experiential learning. We have to assess the children. Yes. And we have to avoid the rote learning. I'm sure what Munawar was trying to say, and teachers training. Here I just will mention, earlier in 2009, the policy came from continuous comprehensive evaluation, CCE. I was a trainer for that as well. But that failed only because we were not able to train the teachers. So in 2016, that has to be withdrawn. Here in NEP, the good part is whole emphasis is on training. And I'm positive that things will move in right direction. And I really want to congratulate you. This is a fantastic platform you created, and we are discussing something very, very important. Thank you so much for this.
Thanks a lot, sir, for such an optimistic view what you have given. Let's implement what we can with whatever resources we have got, and it's an incremental kind, because learning is a lifelong pursuit, and we have been in a knowledge tradition where Charaivati remains the core goal, and we are a parampara of knowledge tradition. And I would now request Madam Pasala Girwani ji to answer that very critical question as to how universities are going to accept the output of the schools, because this is the interface, a very, very critical interface from the K-12 to the university to the higher education level. And probably this interface elaboration is more required. That would it be a one like the US system, like after the standard examinations, every university has got its own different evaluation criteria. So where we are heading towards as a part in process of the NEP over there. Over to Madam Girwani.
Kindly unmute yourself, ma'am.
Yeah.
We can hear you, ma'am.
Okay. I think one thing we have to see is greater flexibility for the student at the university level. That fixed system is making the student feel that he is not fit for the course, or he's not like others. After all, their students are drawn from different socio-economic situations, and their learning abilities are also different. And their goals are also different, but they do the same program. Therefore, I think little more flexibility is one thing which will relieve some of the students to cope up with in the transition period. And some amount of humanities should be introduced into the science programs, and certain science and technology introduction should take place even in the humanities programs. Because today we need both. But we are too much of streamlining at the, or division at the undergraduate level itself, it may not be good. Maybe at postgraduate level, we can have this kind of program focused on a particular discipline. But at the undergraduate level, little more flexibility. And whatever it is, by the time they come to the university, language competency is very important. After all, they need to globally compete today, a postgraduate. Whether they work in an industry, whether they work in an education, or whether they work in administration or research. Today, it's a global. They should be prepared to compete globally in their understanding and thinking and visualizing the scope. I think we have to prepare the student in that direction. And new disciplines also have to come up. I think some new disciplines at the university level has to come up.
Very profound insights shared by Madam Kirwani ma'am, that one is that, of course, the rote learning going to creativity, and then the science and technology integrating with the humanities, and the flexibility to be given to the students in terms of choosing a discipline or even assessments. That's a very profound insight. Thank you so much, ma'am. I would also like to ask you, do you also feel that, how about, when you talk about the flexibility in examination or in assessment, how that can be worked around at the higher education level?
I think continuous comprehensive evaluation, certain amount of internal evaluation should take place. And experiential learning should become compulsory, whether it is arts, science, technology, education, language, whatever it may be. Beautiful. Language art is there. It's simply because they know to write an answer for language in language, doesn't matter. How their ability to creative writing, their ability to imagine, their ability to express also has to be evaluated.
Same question I would like to put. Yes, ma'am, please continue.
Evaluation method has to change at university level, and experiential learning should become compulsory. This need to be redefined, and certain appropriate linkages must be developed for different disciplines for experiential learning. It is not just send them somewhere and then evaluate mechanical. No, it has to be researched. What kind of an experiential learning? So, because that is where they learn whether the job, and they can earn a job also. And that is where industry or employer can also assess the capability of the program to meet their needs. So I think somebody should work seriously on this experiential learning, designing experiential learning, evaluating it, appropriate experiential learning, not just not take it very light.
I would like to.
I would just like to pose this question to Dr. Rajesh Chandel and Dr. Rajesh Sharma also, that how you feel about the evaluation aspect, how that can become more profound, or a flexibility aspect in the school, at the school level. What is your insight on that? Dr. Rajesh Chandel, sir.
Evaluation as Madam is talking at the university level, that is experiential learning, it's important part. Continuous comprehensive evaluation, again, it is important part because we cannot depend on the assessment only. We cannot depend on the we can say final examination. If we are nurturing a plant and we are just watering the plant and giving proper feed to the plant regularly, assessing it, and then after that looking at the need based nurturing this nutrition to the plant, if we are not doing it on the regular basis, we cannot just look at the child after 10 months time that you have not done anything. So this continuous evaluation is very, very important part. Another point which always is a pain of my mind, that is the evaluation system at the college level, university level, is a semester system. We grill the children, we ask them that enjoy your childhood, but the stress on the child who is in grade 9, it increases when he is in the grade 10, it increases further when he goes to grade 11, and there is a blast when he is in the grade 12 and he has to write competitive examination, and then they relax when they reach in the colleges. Why it is not being thought by the educationists that we have to streamline it, though policy says that this has to be reformed. Hope so that the changes will be there, but I believe this can be changed and replaced. The better alternate is the comprehensive evaluation system, continuous comprehensive evaluation system.
Beautifully researched, sir. Dr. Rajesh Sharma, sir, would you like to add in something here for the evaluation part?
Actually, Dr. Chandil has covered all, but what I, especially when we say stress-less education, that stress-less education is possible through experiential learning and continuous comprehension. When formative assessment happens in the class continuously, that will help. And especially, I will give a comparative. We say the best education is in Finland. So what is the comparative? Comparative is they go on to experiential learning for everything, right from day one. Although the child goes very late to the school, there the 7 years child only allowed in the school. We are started now in nursery 3 years child. And the syllabus as it is huge syllabus we are covering for the children as per the age wise. But then because it's all based on rote learning and they kind of mugging up. And here I would like to mention that is the reason many of these students, they don't get settled when they get selected into IIT or even for NEET. And I really at times get scared because there are suicide cases happening now in IITs and medical colleges. So that can be avoided if we have an experiential learning right from day one. That's what our assessment should be on it. Thank you.
Absolutely, sir. Very important point you've elucidated of the stress-free education. And
the last question was the success of this entire evolutionary and I would say excellence-based education system lies on the shoulder of teachers. And this was a, I would say, persistent concern of all the edu leaders present today. Teacher training, I would rather go a bit deeper, the teacher motivation per se. Like with the education technology coming into place, the agency of the educator, how to bolster it, how to bring, because see, training is an evolutionary process, like we keep on learning, so teachers are also the learners themselves. So how to restore that agency of the teachers, the primacy of a teacher in the larger ecosystem, because they are the real fulcrum. Because principals, they can devise it all. The students are at the recipient and parents, at Madam Girwani said, they have to be also communicated and brought to the fore. So how it can be, and it's in question open to all the three principals, honorable principals with us. Maybe I would open up with Shubhankar Chatterjee sir, how that passion within the teaching community can be really increased, because NEP puts up a very, I would say, a star, a light year ahead of a vision for India. Like we have been a kind of a colonial history with us. So how to break that and really usher that age of enlightened educators? Shubhankar sir.
Thank you, sir. Actually, today, this evening, we have been enriched with the stalwart speakers over there. Dr. Rajesh Sharma has told some important points also. And Dr. Rajesh Chandra also had told that CCE definitely. As a principal, I have been doing from last 13 years, and I have been watching as a principal, but that is my personal feeling. We are not getting good teacher, quality teacher and dedicated teacher. That is the problem. Because educated people are not coming into that system, education system, precisely that in the private schools. There have been a lot of decisions are there. This is number one point, to get good educated teacher, knowledgeable teacher who are updating every day, every month, every week they are doing it. So there lies the problem. Second point is that continuous comprehensive teachers training. I really have seen that they are completing DLED or B.Ed, they are making it. But I feel that 5% of them, they are implementing in their everyday's classroom teaching. They are not following all this pedagogical theory. Many theories are there, lecture methods, stimulus response, so many their things they have been taught, but they are not practicing, not even educational psychology also. While they are imparting that thing, they never have thought that what that particular child or the adolescent boy or girl expects from his or her. They do not think about that. Third point is that what is the annual budget of the central government? Around more or less 10% of the total budget has been spent for the educational field. Out of that, 90% is going for infrastructure and payment purpose of that teachers, maybe KV, NBS, and all the other people, other schools are there and over there. So for the payment of the teachers and for infrastructure, the major part of these things are spared over there. The thing is that there is a huge gap of plan makers and the performers, operating people. Here's a huge gap. This is not an autocratic matter. That is, some people are there, they are making the plans, the autocratic gestures over there, circulars are coming, and we are supposed to be there in the threshold. We are getting the problem. You know, it's almost like a half-done people. The people like us and the teachers who are working in the field, in the school level, in the distant, far from the din and bustle of the city life. Our school is in a rural life, a rural place also. So whenever we are executing this particular thing, we can understand that how much tough is it to fulfill all these things. These days, so many things have become like SQA or other things are coming over there. It is definitely good if we can do like that way. If we compare the education systems of Finland or German education system or Japan education system, likewise, we are starting from 6+. So already we are already being a little bit late. In class 1, we are getting the 6+ or 7+, we are advancing. Again, in that college level, 4 years is coming over there. So the time of education system is becoming lengthy. So when they will get that, what will be the tenure of their working time after that? So these are the small, but it's actually becoming a sotam or Achilles heel for the educators who are executing all these things over there. But definitely, NEP is very much useful. But as Sarah told earlier, that CCE, I was totally in favor of CCE. We had that particular thing, a process of evaluation in our hand to give some marks to CBSE. That tool has been extracted from our. Why? Because I myself have found that most of the teachers are not dedicated or not interested to do like that way. Most of them, although we have tried to get that expertise from the people and we have trained the teachers also, they do not bother to make that all these performa rubrics, all these things, they are not doing it. It's a makeshift eyewash. The paper documentation was there. Earlier, we have found in 2010 and 11, we are supposed to send all those documents to local nodal center along with these all these things. These days, it has been stopped. But CCE was a very good thing. So the day-to-day thing was there. Evaluation was there. As far as evaluation is coming, that holistic progress card is coming very soon. It was supposed to be given by this month, but by CBC. It has not been yet been done. It's ongoing process also will get it. So to some extent, there is a gap between the evaluation and everyday teaching learning system. We are supposed to evaluate on that learning outcome also. How much they have already learned, we need to get that particular keen on these things over there. So altogether, with that administrations, plan makers, with the people, with the teachers, I feel myself more like a teacher, and all the stakeholders, and along with the definitely the SMC also, together with that thing, we can make it feasible within next 10 years. Otherwise, it is not possible. The child who is entering at nursery level, at 3+ level these days, and when he will come out of the college after 15 years or 16 years, during that time, we can shape up that particular mentality of that child. That is the way we can do it. Thank you.
So beautifully indeed. I mean, I think these are the practitioner insights, like real from the ground level, what the experiences of what is working and not working with NEP. And I think this is great. I should say we are armed with so much of real-time thoughts and insight that we can now take this next phase, the first 3 years we have fared through of the NEP 2020, and now to 2025. It's another phase where, as Dr. Rajesh Sharma sir so nicely said, that a positive outlook on that, and with whatever document, the policies, the practices, the principles, let's put it into action. Let's gear with all our energy, whatever resources we have, and give it our best. So there are some gaps. We do realize in reading between the lines, which you as the warriors, all the principals are really fighting this edu battle so very valiantly. Over to Raghav.
So this is a small initiative from the Rethink India desk, that any policy, it needs a kind of a course correction as to what is working and what is not. And that is why we felt to curate this fulfillment index, whereby at the institutional level, around these 8-10 thematic areas, with the principles overlaying over there, we would try to document from the nook and cranny of the country as to what are the real challenges, because as Dr. Chandel also said, and Chatterjee sir also said, that sitting at the top headquarters out there, because it has to be a bottoms-up execution. The top-down vision, the envisioning is perfect, but execution has to be done at the institutional level, and the NEP, the National Education Policy, the new education policy, has to actually translate into a school education policy. Every school has to really evolve to touch upon those metrics out there. So there's a lot of talk about flexibility at the student level. There's a lot of ennobling aspects which have been brought about from various global educational ecosystems. But perhaps we really need to give that kind of a flexibility to the institutions per se. The CCE, like in the COVID time, because of the pandemic emergency, the educator agency was given back. Like we had in IITs, the professors who used to teach us, they used to grade us, and no authority in the world had any right to question their judgment. So why not at the primary or the middle or the secondary level, to an extent, the agency is restored to those educators, their integrity to be trusted, and with the technological tools being in the fray, can't we kind of factor all this huge data coming in? Because in order to create that knowledge economy, the knowledge society, we have to really return, and I think that is the core of it all, the respect which has to go to the educator. Like when a tehsildar or a small patwari reaches an institution, the halla bulla happens. Administrators of all hues are accorded much higher respect than the academicians. That remains the core quest at Rethink India, where we say that the fifth estate has to be given the power, the prowess over there. When a professor walks in, even the district magistrates have to bow down to them, rather than the other way side. What is happening? A joint secretary keeps on the directors of the IITs or any of the CFTIs waiting in their lounge. So that culture has to somewhere get reversed. I think that's a larger battle. That's a larger thing, but NEP is a great head start. And in Bharat Mandapam, I would say the inspiring address what the Prime Minister talked about, the multilingualism aspect, the incorporation of the local context, and invoking our legends from our Renaissance period, like the legend of Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar, his agency which catalyzed the entire Indian national movement. I think that has to come back to our institutions, that एक शिक्षक ही राष्ट्र का निर्माता होता है, प्रशासक तो शिक्षक के नीचे ही है. I think with these words, with pranams to the legend of Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar ji, and thanks to all our eminent
Thank you.
panelists, educators this evening.
Thank
We
you,
will
everybody.
conclude,
Thank you.
Thank you so much.